Welcome back to Swordbox Ministries. Today I'll be doing the video. We want to continue to pray for Mickey. He's not feeling very well right now. So anyway, today we come to the book of Nahum. He was the seventh of the 12 minor prophets. The author of this remarkably literary book is probably Nahum. The text says in 1:1, the book of the vision of Nahum. The Hebrew name Nahum means compassion or comfort. And it is interesting, in light of God's promise throughout the book of comfort and deliverance for his people. Very little is known about Nahum, but from his writing we gain a sense of his keen intellectual and literary abilities, his command of certain Old Testament themes and literatures, and perhaps most importantly, his love and humanity before a gracious, holy, and vengeful God. It seems that although the book of Nahum is directed against the Assyrians, it was written for Jews in the south of Judah. Nahum presents Yahweh as the sovereign, warrior God who takes just vengeance on his enemies, yet in his goodness saves those who takes refuge in him. He is sovereign over all things, people, nations, and history itself, and he is holy and just. He will simply not endure sin forever. It must be remembered that years earlier God had granted repentance to Nineveh at the preaching of Jonah. But they had again slipped into gross sin, vicious cruelty, and bloodshed. They had no regard for people, as many of the records of the statements of Ashurbanipal and other kings made clear. Thus Nahum was not so much communicating his own private thoughts about them, but rather the Lord's. God had had enough of their sin and settled on a course of action entailing utter judgment. The description of God in the first chapter applies to all people. Everyone will be judged impartially, and only those who take refuge in Yahweh will be delivered. The message of Nahum is reminiscent of the words of the Apostle Paul in Romans 11:22. Therefore consider the goodness and severity of God. On those who fell, severity, but towards you, goodness, if you continue in his goodness. Otherwise, you also will be cut off. Well, thanks for joining us on today's video, and make sure to check back in as we continue 66 books in 66 days.